Hi, friends. Well, Annalise went to school today, and I was reminded. It's funny because uh, last year, I think she went to school on a Wednesday last year, so that would have been like a year ago tomorrow, and I just remember being so staggered, so just blown away by her courage to just, she just walked into her schoolhouse. And this year was kind of almost ho hum. It was, she's been at the school for a year. She spent a fair amount of time there over the summer in summer school. And so it was just another day at school, and yet it marks an entire year since she started. It marks a new phase of her life. She's a different age in her classroom now. She's going to have a different role in that classroom. And something that showed up for me, I've reflected on this before, because I've become aware of a movement in me as a parent where there are periods of time when I spend a lot of time with Annalise, like the last several weeks. I mean, really, it's been a number of weeks now. Basically, since we went to Michigan the first time, so that was, early July 3rd or so. I've been really on with her. And what that does, I was sitting in meditation this morning and I was noticing my focus, and especially over the last couple weeks where I was in Michigan with her on my own with her, and then coming back here, and she wasn't in school yet, so we had full days together for most of that time. Sitting in meditation, and the things that my mind is picking up is sort of like churning over. Those things that are the sort of distractions of meditation are aspects of her life. Like we went to gymnastics class yesterday, and I was kind of humming and hawing between two classes because it seemed like she was ready for one of them, but I didn't want to push her, and so but at the same time I couldn't really tell. So we went to the first one, she loved it, and then she wanted to do the second one, she loved it even more. So I just had this really satisfying and beautiful experience of watching her open into something that she loves and be part of her choosing this next step in her life. We went and picked up her dance leotard yesterday, completely independently, at the dance school where she hasn't started yet, but is going to be starting in the next few weeks. So it's like my mind is just buzzing with parenting stuff, parenting tidbits. And what I noticed about that, because I'm somebody who, you leave me alone long enough and my mind gets very philosophical and abstract and outer space-ish. I start thinking about the meaning of existence. That's where I trend when I'm kind of left to my own devices. But it's really interesting, this shift that is what I'm talking about before. This shift that happens where when I spend a lot of time in direct contact with Annalise, and really sort of where her day defines my day in a way, my focus becomes much more concrete, in some ways more short term, even though what I'm really working on with her is decisions that are going to have very, very long impact potentially. But the immediate concerns and the immediate decisions are all kind of right here, right now, right here, right now. And as I watch her go off to school this morning, there's both a little bit of sadness in my heart, because we've had this beautiful chapter. This is so funny, because I was right here last year at the same time. I remember feeling this beautiful chapter that we've had, this close connection. And it's not that we become disconnected when she goes to school. It's just we're not spending 12 hours a day together anymore. And there's some sadness there. There's some having to let go. And she also, this morning as she was getting in the car, she was like, "I'm going to miss you. Papa, I'm going to miss you." We were kind of both realizing, oh, it's been really fun to just hang out for a couple weeks. It's changing now, it wasn't lost on her. And she, being the kind of very wakeful being that she is, she also was able to articulate that to me about how she was feeling. And it's incredibly sweet, incredibly touching. And also, I sense in myself a kind of readiness to shift that focus, to put my focus onto some of the stuff I've been talking about on this post for weeks, my next steps, and the business that I'm going to pursue, and the work, how I want to define my work and expand that and build on that. And it's, in a way, that takes me back into the kind of visionary realm where I love to live, and where I really kind of feels like my playground. And I have some freshness to that. I've had some time to feel like I'm in my full-time parenting mode. And even just clocking how lucky I am to have that, and how grateful I am to be able to spend time that way with my daughter, it is amazing. It gives me this incredible sense of just being very fortunate. And there's also some feeling in me that the shift that happens, it takes energy. Anytime I shift modes, there's a kind of restarting the engine. I kind of call it restarting the engine of in certain areas of my life. I talk about this with my students and clients sometimes too, because a lot of times getting that engine started, there can be resistance to getting the engine started. Like when I come back to my creative work and my business work, I start to starts to look like, oh, well, I haven't done anything here in quite a while, and I had been putting some focus here, but not that much. And, but I noticed myself yesterday. I'm sitting in Annalise's gymnastics class, and suddenly there's like ideas are starting to bubble up. I'm not working. I'm not focused on my work, but flashes of inspiration are starting to come. And that tells me in a way, it feels like a good sign. It feels like there's a natural rhythm to this transition in my energy, and it's a healthy feeling. It's a healthy feeling, and I notice these little thresholds of needing to lean into an area of my life with consciousness, or deciding, because this is the thing. It's like when we're moving, something like piano practice, I can create a lot of momentum in that direction, which can be great, and it can be a little bit, it can blind me to other things. So that's just good to know, and making that choice consciously, and this, it's almost like signing up for a 3-month retreat or something. When you sign up, it's going to be 3 weeks long. You're not going to stop on week 1.5 because it's a 3-month course. Well, that kind of that feels like that's actually the case with chapters of my life and work as well. It's just, if I don't create the clarity for myself that this is what the commitments mean, then I'm kind of like a passenger on the train, hoping that when my stop comes, I'll know it. But there's less intentionality to it. And moments like this, transitional moments, threshold moments, give me a chance to make some of those decisions consciously and really sort of launch with a destination in mind. So that I'm also very grateful for that. I'm grateful for these transitions, even when they sometimes feel like, okay, here I am standing still, and I want to get running so I can get over there. Got to start. Takes a little burst of energy, but ultimately it tends to be a very positive and clarifying moment. So that's where I am today. And there's just a little sadness about the change. And that's okay too. Thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you very soon.